Hey guys, hi. This is Soundarya B, and I'm currently doing my MS in Management Science at Columbia University. I'm a 2017 NIT Trichy pass out, and I just wanted to have a small session with you all talking about how to approach this essay on igniting a change for your community. So before I start, I wanted to just talk a little bit about the scholarship itself. So I've applied to a lot of scholarships over the last few years, and I've looked at a lot of scholarships and their eligibility criterias, the minimum qualifications required, the process that's needed. So out of all of them, I would say this is one of the very few scholarships where you can take away a lot of experiences and ideas and thoughts, even if you don't get it. So I think all of you should definitely apply for it, even if you think you might not get it, because the experience itself is going to be amazing. So I thought it'll be better if I have a small presentation so that I can convey my ideas better. And I'll just go through the presentation within a period of 20 minutes. And if you have any questions, you can always keep commenting it below, and I'll answer it once I'm done with the presentation. So, okay, let's begin. How do I approach the essay? I think even for people who love writing, writing essays for applications is definitely a pain. So I understand the pain that you're going through right now. And I think if you step back and take a look at the big picture and try to, cut it down into small pieces, it's going to be much easier for you to approach the essay. Okay, so let's look at the problem statement. The problem statement says that elucidate on a prevailing problem in NIT Trichy campus. What was its origin? What are its repercussions? Suggest an implementable solution to alleviate the issue. So I think the first part of the problem statement here is very simple. You just have to find a problem or find something wrong with what's going on our campus. And in any university which has a population of over 4,000 people, finding something that's going wrong is going to be very easy because it's bound to happen eventually. So I think that shouldn't be a problem for you guys. The second part is definitely a problem. What was its origin and repercussions? Suggest implement a solution. So I'm going to walk you through the process step by step. Okay, so first, just to give you a brief, I was just thinking about it yesterday. What are the problems that I could think of in a span of 5 minutes? And I came up with these. First is a very obvious and glaring problem. What is scarcity? And I think almost every one of us have been a big victim of this, and all of us want it to be changed, but it hasn't been changed yet. And there's a reason why. So if you go talk to people, if you go talk to someone from the estate maintenance department, you would know that they're very much aware of what's going on, but they can't change anything because there is a limited supply that they get from the agency and they can't get anything more. So here, the core reason is just limited supply. Instead, what you can think of doing is how you can judiciously use the water that you get every day, because obviously there's a lot of waste, and this is one possible problem which you can think of, and here the solution matters much more than just coming up with the problem statement. Second is increasing security around the campus. I think this is an intermediate problem, and the final one being that there's roll call and curfew, which can be removed if you increase the security around the campus and strengthen the compound walls. At least when I was there in NIT, I could see that the walls were not as strong as I thought it was, and trespassing was very easy. So this is something that I could think of yesterday. The third problem would be making all the procedures digital and more efficient. At least in my time, I had responsibilities where I had to get a lot of signatures every single week. So I would definitely like an alternative solution where I don't have to keep roaming around the campus and sitting at one place and doing everything done. And it is possible because I've seen it happen in a lot of other places. So here you need to think about how you can start the process of making everything digital. You can't make every single procedure digital overnight. You have to start with just one, see how the pilot test is working out, and then slowly move on to the rest of them. Fourth, I would say, is creating a cleaner and greener campus. Our campus is the second largest in India in terms of the acre space, and it has such a beautiful space, but it's just not used very well. So in such cases, you always see people posting on the calendar board saying that, I wish this was different, or someone clicks a picture of a lot of garbage post dumped in a place, and they post it saying that please don't do this again. So all of these are, temporary solutions, but you need to think of something that's more permanent. So when you're thinking of a solution for a problem like this, always keep at least the next 1 or 2 years in mind and then think about it. Fifth is having mess cards to save money and reduce food wastage. I know for a fact that in our campus, at least half of the people in a batch don't eat at mess regularly, or probably the number is even more right now. I don't know, and this could be because they're allergic to the food, they don't like the taste of it, or they just want to try different cuisines every day, and they want to go out and eat. So whatever be the reason, there's a lot of food wastage, and a lot of your money is being wasted here. Let's say there are 1,000 people in a batch, and 500 of them don't eat at mess every day. So because they don't eat at mess every day, let's say they don't eat one meal. Let's just keep it very small. 500 people don't eat one meal every day for a period of the entire semester. There are totally 120 days, let's say, in a semester. So you're typically wasting, 500 into 120 equals 600,000 meals every semester, and each meal has a cost of 20 rupees. So you can just make the calculation and see, if you look at the big picture, how much is being wasted on the whole. So there's a very simple solution to this, is just to have a mess card where you can pay for as much as you eat every day. So the whole point is, there's no limit to how much you can complain right now. And the only thing you can do right now is think of how to begin the solution. So just to walk you through a process of how you can identify problems, these are just things I could think about in a span of 5 minutes, especially because I've been a victim of all 5 problems at one stage or the other in my life. So if you haven't, then that's good for you. But if you want to identify problems, it comes from any one of these 4 options. First is, of course, personal experience, as I just mentioned. Second is visceral experience. This is where probably a best friend of yours or a very good friend comes and tells you that, I could not go to class early today because the bus was late, and it's probably the 5th time in this week that this is happening. So when they say something like that, you understand that, this is definitely a problem that I should think about. Third is just attention to detail. If you take a walk from your hostel to Orion or LHC or SE, whatever it may be, you will see that there are so many things that you can change, and all it requires is some attention and just some action from the authority. And fourth is just casual conversations, and probably you're standing at staff scene, you're listening to someone talk about something, and you think, okay, maybe I can think about doing something for this. So in simple terms, whenever your day-to-day activities are hindered, or someone else's day-to-day activities are hindered as a consequence of certain amenities or lack of them, there definitely exists a problem. So this is the easy part. You can definitely identify it easily, but how do you approach it arriving at a solution? That's the hard part. So first, think about it. Think about whether, can I solve this myself? If you can, then well and good. All you have to do is just go ahead and take some action, intervene, solve the problem, and most importantly, prevent it from happening in the future. So let's say you're taking a walk and you see that there's a plastic can thrown right next to the dustbin. So definitely you're mad that people can't throw it inside when it's right there. But anyway, you pick it up and throw it inside. But that's not the end of the solution, right? Because people are going to keep doing it unless you do something from your side and let them know that, guys, please stop doing this. So there are different ways you can approach this. This is a very tricky problem because this problem is created by not just one, but a very mass of people. So in such cases, it's more about changing their mindset than just imposing strict rules. You can always impose stricter rules, but it might not be the most effective solution. So here, the first and most obvious thing I can think of is you at least start impacting the people around you. And if you see one of your friend doing the same thing, you should tell them to stop doing it, and probably they'll listen to you. And I hope they listen to you. Second is what has been happening for a long time. Take a picture and post it online, and just write it. Write some emotional or moving caption along with it, talking about how this much garbage is being wasted every day, etc., etc. Maybe it might help one or two people who's reading it. It definitely something would happen there. Or third, what you can do is, this is a very how do I say, trial and error kind of solution. You can probably take an A4 sheet, write a very catchy message, and paste it right next to the dustbin where you see that people keep throwing it there. So it might not be the case that everyone who's throwing it is because everyone who's throwing it just don't care about cleanliness. They probably do, but situations also matter. So if they see the message, maybe they might stop doing it. Something might be evoked in them, and you can walk away happily saying that you did something good. So this is when you can solve it yourself. But what about a problem like the mess card? Definitely you can't do anything because you don't have the resources or the power to do it, even if you wanted to. So there, I would say the best solution would be to first approach student council. You never know, they're probably already working on something like this. Or you can, if you think approaching the person concerned straight away is more relevant, then you can definitely do that. If it's related to the hostel, you can first approach the steward and then the warden. And this is where I want to state a very important point. Always follow hierarchy when you're trying to solve something. You cannot send a mail to the director or the dean saying that, hey, I think something is going wrong with this, and you should definitely take a look at it because this could impact a lot of people. As much as your intentions might be good, there are certain rules to be followed, and if you send something along these lines, definitely they're not going to take any heed to it, because not because they don't care, they probably do, but they just don't have the time to act upon it. So they would take a look at it only if they understand the magnitude of the problem. So first, follow the bottom up chain, approach the student council or approach the person concerned, and if they say no, then you approach the person who's next to the hierarchy. If it's regarding water scarcity, first approach someone from the estate maintenance department. Inside the estate maintenance department, there's a lot of hierarchy. So you need to go up. And then if none of them listen to you, then go ahead to the dean. Go ahead to the assistant dean. Finally, if none of this works out, then you can send a mail to director saying, I already approached these people and they did not listen to me. And I really think that this should be taken a look at, and I hope you do it. Thank you so much. So there's a way of approaching, and be very careful on that. So once you're done conveying the issue to someone, the next most important thing is to follow up. And this is something that people neglect so many times simply because they just don't have the time. But unless you follow up, nobody's going to take you seriously. Because think about it. If someone comes and tells you that they're suffering because of so and so issue, and you personally don't think it's that important or it's that pressing, you're not going to do anything. So it's going to be the same when you tell someone else about your issue. So be empathetic and follow up so that they understand the seriousness and the magnitude of how important it is. And if they're doing their job, that's great. You can definitely walk away with a happy smile. And if they're not, then the last resort, I don't know what to say here, because this depends very much on what kind of problem you're tackling. And if at all you're at this stage where none of this works out, then I would say, approach me, send me a message on Facebook saying that I did this, and they said they'll work on it, but they haven't. What am I supposed to do right now? Because I think this step is very subjective, and it depends very much on the sensitivity of the issue that you're trying to tackle. So next is ensure that you anticipate. when you're trying to solve one issue, you're going to encounter at least 10 more coming up along the way. And if you don't anticipate them, then it's going to turn into a whole mess. So even if, let's take the example of the creating new mess cards. So the obvious solution here is, of course, printing the mess cards. But nobody's going to print 4,000 mess cards at once and just distribute it to students. That's just not very prudent. What you can do is print, say, 100 and distribute it to just one hostel initially and use this as a pilot testing stage. And let's say you've approached people and you were following up for the last few months, and finally you got something done. They've listened to you, they understood the problem, they've converted all the data on paper onto a computer, and all the students' information is uploaded on a database. All of this is done, and right now the only thing that you have to do is just launch it and see how it works. So you launch it, it works fine for a few days, but then you start hearing about issues like people forget their cards, and the cards are not working after a few swipes. And most importantly, the mess workers constantly keep making errors while using the cards. And it's not their fault, because nobody was there to exactly train them through the process of how it should be done. People just assume that they can take care of it. And when something like this happens, you're probably so exhausted from doing all the work that you thought this is it. But when all of these things coming up and creeping up, you just don't have the energy to do anything more. So that's why when you're going through the process of implementing solution itself, you need to know that you should anticipate all of these things that comes up. So before I end this session, I want to talk about a few personal experiences where I've encountered a lot of issues. So the first time I encountered an issue was, of course, it was in my first year, and it was not one issue. It was a bunch of things that I saw was going wrong with our campus, and what things that could be changed if someone just gives a little bit of attention and care. So I remember preparing this Word document stating all of these dozen issues and then sending it to the director straight away. And definitely that's not a wise option. Please don't do it. I was just lucky because the director was appreciative of what I did instead of just instead of scolding me for it. But I would definitely say don't take this approach. This is something that I compiled in my first year. I don't know if you know, but the chemical engineering department was not in LHC when all the other departments were. Only the chemical engineering department was secluded in CSAT, where the facilities was not on par. So I sent, the first problem was the issue has been looked into, but never a solution was devised. This needs to be addressed at least now, given to the fact that Orion has been built. So Orion was just being built then. Of course, it's not a problem now, and I hope all of you have good resources. Second is revaluation must be done more efficiently. There must be an online portal where we can apply for it. Professors don't take the required action, so and so. So I compared a lot of things and I said it. I think this issue is still going on. The issue with ATMs present must be addressed. More often than not, we only get denominations of 500, which aren't always ideal. The Ban ATM is closed most of the time. There's no point in having it if it doesn't serve the purpose. So I just put all of it together and I sent it to him. And thankfully, he was very happy that I did. I'm not saying that action was taken right away, but if you are going to do the same thing now, please follow the hierarchy and the bottom-up chain. So this was a very naive stage in my life where I didn't know how to exactly approach a solution. But I think the best way I was able to learn was through the NIT Trichy Chronicle. This was an organization which was started in 2013 by an alumnus called Srinivas Reddy. And this initiative was done to act as a bridge between the administration and the students of NIT. So we wanted to, the mission behind this was to convey whatever is going on in the most effective and unbiased way possible, so that students can understand that the admin is doing these things for them, and the admin understands that students are facing these problems. So I was the editor of Chronicle for over 8 to 9 months, and it was a huge gateway for me to learn about a very micro scale journalism. Some of the articles that I worked on there were on Cafe Coffee Day. I saw the evolution. I learned about how CCD was evolved from 2014 until 2017, how it changed, and how long it took for people to get it into campus. It was a 2 year long period where people had to work so hard just to get it inside the campus. The second was on migration certificate. This was a problem that not a lot of people encountered, but a few people who wanted to pursue masters inside India had a problem with our college not giving them migration certificate. And I got notice of this, and so I approached the concerned faculties and I made an article on the same. Third is on mess workers. We all see them toiling day and night, working so hard to get food for us, but we don't know anything about them. We don't know how their day is. We don't know the kind of struggles that they go through. So I wanted to work on this for some time. Then there was an article on water scarcity. So I couldn't exactly finish this as I wanted to, but I was able to at least get an idea of why the problem exists. And I think that's something that each and one of you should understand instead of always complaining about how there's no water. Yes, the administration does know there's no water, but and you should know why they are not able to take steps or where they're going wrong. And of course, roll call extension is an it's a I think it's an eternal problem. It's going to be there forever until some huge measure is taken. And a bunch of us worked on this for a long time last year. And one of the issues that our ideas, which we gave to the administration, did not work was because we didn't follow the hierarchy and we directly approached the top authority, which was our mistake. And I wish we had done something different back then. But that's why I'm stating about the importance of following the hierarchy. So whatever the problem you're encountering, whatever you're thinking of doing for the same, the bottom line or the bottom lesson that I learned is that things don't happen overnight. And this seems so obvious, and I know it's something that everyone should know, but I'm talking about this from a year of experience of watching things that just don't happen as quickly as you think or you hope they would be. And three things I would remember when I'm doing this is the persistence, perseverance, and patience. You have no clue how important these are when you're trying to tackle an issue. So finally, how the hell do you summarize all of this in just 500 words? Well, you can't and you shouldn't, at least initially. First, I would say you write out the whole experience because it's worth remembering every single bit of it. Years from now when you've passed out of NIT and someone comes and asks you how your experience was, and you tell them about how you did this, and you just want to go back and read about what all you did during that time. You're going to want to have a Word document which has everything listed down, and then you start thinking to yourself, for the sake of the essay, if I remove this particular sentence, would it reduce the impact of the essay? If not, just remove it. The essay is not asking you to list down your entire experience. All it wants to see is whether you have a clear cut mindset and a structured thinking process where you identify problems and you approach them in the most effective way possible. So once you're done streamlining the process, just see if it conveys the following. First is, does it clearly state what the problem you're tackling is? Second, what did you do as part of this entire experience? Third is what the outcome was. And I really hope all of you can get some tangible outcome. And finally, what did you learn from this? Which is your takeaway. And that should be the most important part. So I think this should give you a brief idea on how you can approach problem structuring and problem solving. I'm gonna jump back to the video right now. Let me just stop sharing the screen. Hey guys, so I hope you could take away something from that small presentation. If you have any more questions, please approach me. send me a message on Facebook. I'll be more than happy to address whatever questions you have. I've been through this process of identifying and addressing problems. So I would love to talk to you about the kind of things that you come up with over the next few months. I also hope you understand the value of the scholarship that you're trying to apply for, and I hope you know where the name comes from. Jitesh was an amazing student, and he was an amazing person who worked a lot for our community, for NIT Trichy. And if he was there right now, a lot of things would have changed in campus for the good, and he would have inspired a lot of you guys to look up to him. But unfortunately, he's not there. So I hope you live up to the name of the scholarship, and irrespective of whether you get it or not, it doesn't matter. Trust me. This is, again, restating what I said, this is one of the scholarships where you're going to take so much away just by going through the process. So just make the most of it, and I hope all of you get it. But since that's not possible, I can only say that I hope all of you learn something from this. If you have any queries at all ever, just send me a message and I'll be happy to help. Thank you so much.